Denver's auditor is not convinced that the Denver Art Museum is keeping proper track of city-owned art, almost 3 years after an audit pointed out that very problem. Our Julissa Irizarry explains why art ownership and sales are getting a lot of scrutiny around the world, including here in Denver.
Art and numbers. Some may call them a contradiction. And here, opposites don't attract.
It's about accountability and transparency, and I think that's what we're trying to do.
Denver Auditor Tim O'Brien says of all the cultural facilities he's had to work with, the Denver Art Museum...
Yes, it's been the most challenging.
In 2021, O'Brien released an audit sharing 22 recommendations. The big problems were around ownership and the city's relationship with the museum. O'Brien pointed out the agreement between the two lacks documentation of who owns what.
And the art museum had, a number of pieces of art that didn't belong to them.
In 2021, the Denver Art Museum returned 4 artifacts to Cambodia after they were found to be linked to a man who was indicted by U.S. prosecutors. And in September, they announced they were working with the feds to return 5 sculptures back to their nations of origin. This was part of the museum's provenance research, something they did not want to talk on camera about. But to use Elizabeth Campbell, did. She has nothing to do with the art museum, but does run a provenance research program that trains people how to find the ownership history of art.
So museums, galleries should know that the items that they hold were not stolen in the past.
But the Denver Art Museum says provenance research has nothing to do with the city's art, and they've only got one city-owned piece. The city auditor's office says that response is surprising, since their audit shows ownership of many pieces isn't clearly defined, and they've got a long list of pieces they believe the city owns. It's been nearly 3 years since that audit. The city's office says the museum has only completed 8 of the 21 recommendations that they agreed on. The Denver Art Museum says they're in the process of finishing the other recommendations. The auditor's office says if those recommendations aren't complete, come time to ask for city bonds for, improvements and whatnot, those incomplete tasks may be a topic of conversation. Kyle.
Julissa, obviously there's a new mayor in town, but I'm just trying to imagine somebody trying to get his attention as he deals with homelessness and the migrant crisis to be like, hey, Mr. Mayor, can you pay attention to the art over here at the museum? But I guess somebody could bring it up to him.
Exactly. I think this has been such a long-running issue that the auditor's office hopes that this new administration does actually do something about this. They want attention to this. They want to make sure that these recommendations are completed.
All right, Julissa Irizarry, good to have you on next.